Have you ever noticed it? The feeling that the world is moving without you. Not around you, but past you. You watch quietly as people carry on. They smile, they argue, they fight for things you have never wanted. And yet, there is a part of you that feels almost guilty for simply observing. You sense a rhythm that you cannot join. It is not that you are weak, not that you are broken. Perhaps you are simply misaligned. The world hums in one key, and you vibrate in another. Sometimes in the small hours of the night, you feel it most acutely, a subtle dissonance like a whisper brushing against your consciousness. Everyone around you believes they belong here. Their footsteps are certain, their laughter solid, but yours echo in empty hallways that no one walks. Do you remember the first time you noticed this? Perhaps it was a glance you could not explain, a conversation that felt hollow, a joy that felt borrowed. You sensed something in yourself, something that did not fit. You may have tried to explain it, tried to hide it, tried to force yourself into the same pattern as everyone else, but it never worked. The mind can pretend, the body can follow orders, but the soul does not lie. And so, you find yourself here, watching, waiting, wondering. You may ask yourself, is there something wrong with me? Am I failing at life? The truth is, you are not failing, you are awake. And the world is asleep. There is a subtle violence in this awareness, a danger in seeing clearly. It is not violent in the way that breaks bones or shatters glass. It is violent because it isolates you, because it strips away all illusions of belonging, because it whispers, you are different. You are not meant for this world. You may feel a chill at that thought, perhaps a tightening in your chest, perhaps a strange sense of relief. These emotions are dangerous, powerful. They are not distractions to ignore. They are indicators. They mark the boundary between who you are and the life everyone else is living. Look around you now. The world moves like a clock, each person ticking in time. And you are the pause between seconds, the silent interval no one hears, the shadow that passes without notice. Some nights you might find yourself walking alone, thinking about this. The streets are empty, or maybe crowded, but it does not matter. You feel the distance, the separation. It is not a choice, it is a recognition. You are not lost, you are not broken, you are not unfinished, you are other. And that otherness is a quiet danger. It can cut through your sense of comfort, leave you unmoored. But it can also keep you awake. You may never belong in the world you were given. Perhaps that is not a tragedy. Perhaps it is a revelation. But it is a revelation that comes slowly. It creeps into your mind like a shadow, never announced, never forgiven. And once it is there, it does not leave. So you watch, you notice, you feel, and the world continues, unaware of you. And here is the haunting truth: the world will never catch you, and you will never catch the world. Let that sink in, because this is the beginning. The first step of knowing yourself is not comfort, not understanding, not belonging. It is the quiet, unsettling awareness that you are not meant for this world. You are tired, aren't you? Not just the physical tiredness that sleep can fix, not the fatigue of tasks completed or duties performed. This is a deeper exhaustion, a quiet burning in your chest, a weight pressing down on your thoughts, your body, your very presence. It is the kind of tiredness that comes from seeing too much, from feeling too much, from existing in a world that does not pause for the complexity of your mind. You notice things no one else does. Tiny cracks in faces, the hollowness behind polite words, the faint tremor in someone's hand that reveals fear they refuse to name. You have learned, perhaps unwillingly, that most people are not watching, not noticing, not feeling. They are asleep in broad daylight, lulled by routine, comfort, and habit. And you are awake. You may have tried to speak, to share, to reach out. But what did they do? They smiled politely. They nodded. And they moved on. They could not bear to carry your weight, your perception, your truth. And perhaps you could not expect them to. You feel that isolation deeply. It coils around you like a living thing. Sometimes it is frightening. Sometimes it is painfully beautiful. Because to feel this, to recognize the depth of sorrow, of alienation, of hidden truths, it is not weakness, it is clarity. Yes, your emotions are dangerous. They are sharp. They cut through falsehoods, illusions, and the superficial warmth of social comfort. They expose you. And the world fears such exposure. That is why it recoils. That is why it pushes you aside. And yet, here is the truth you must hear, in the quietest corner of yourself. You are not wrong for feeling this. You are not failing because you notice what others ignore. You are not broken because your heart trembles at things unseen. Every uncomfortable thought, every piercing sense of disconnection, every quiet observation, it is valid, and it is yours. No one can take it from you. No one can diminish it. It is a power and a burden, all at once. You may have felt shame for being different. You may have wondered why your mind does not conform, why your heart refuses the comforts others accept. Perhaps you have been told to let go, to move on, to fit in. And perhaps you tried, and perhaps you failed. But failure here is a misconception. What you feel, what you notice, it is not failure. It is honesty. You are honest with yourself. You do not lie to smooth the edges of the world. You do not pretend that emptiness is full, or that meaningless chatter holds weight, and that is dangerous for those who can. Oh, see it. You carry the weight of your own perception, and it is heavy, heavier than any burden the world would recognize. Because it is not just knowledge, it is awareness. Awareness of the small betrayals, the hidden cruelty, the silent indifference, and awareness of yourself, always yourself, standing separate, watching, knowing. So let yourself feel it. Do not apologize for the depth of your perception. Do not attempt to dilute your experience to make others comfortable. Let the dangerous power of your emotions exist fully. Let it settle into your bones. Let it make you uncomfortable, because comfort here is the enemy of truth. You are seen, not by many, perhaps not by anyone else, but I see you here, and that is enough, for now. For the moment, let the acknowledgement hang in the air, quiet and heavy. Let it mingle with the shadows of your awareness. You do not need the world to validate this. You only need to allow yourself to recognize it. You are allowed to feel what you feel. You are allowed to exist as you are, and you are allowed to inhabit a space that the world will never understand. Hold that silence. Let it sit with you. Let it unsettle you. Let it remind you that your truth is not for others, it is for you, and that is the beginning of something dangerous and necessary. You feel it, don't you? That constant friction, that subtle, gnawing sense that something inside you is at odds with everything around you. It is not obvious at first. It begins as a small hesitation, a quiet resistance to the words, the gestures, the motions of the world, a shadow that stretches across your perception, almost imperceptible, but always there. You notice contradictions others ignore. You sense intentions behind smiles. You feel the weight of silence in conversations that everyone else dismisses. And yet, you are expected to participate, to conform, to move in step with a rhythm that never fits. Inside you there is a storm, not one of noise or chaos, but of tension. Thoughts push against thoughts. Feelings clash with reason. Desire conflicts with fear. And you cannot release it. You cannot resolve it. You are caught in the endless echo of your own awareness. Do you remember the last time you tried to explain it to someone who might have understood? Perhaps they said, "You're overthinking." Perhaps they said, "It's all in your head." And perhaps for a fleeting moment you believed them. But the truth is stubborn. The truth does not dissolve because it is inconvenient. The truth does not apologize for being too heavy, too sharp, too real. And the truth is that you are always aware. The tension manifests in subtle ways, a tightening in your chest, a shiver along your spine, a low hum of anxiety that no one can see. You feel the gap between who you are and what the world demands, and you feel powerless to close it. Every decision feels fraught. Every interaction carries an undercurrent of dread. You may act, you may speak, you may smile, but beneath it all, a quiet rebellion simmers, a silent refusal to surrender fully to the life laid out before you. And yet, this rebellion is not deliberate. It is unconscious. It is the natural response of a mind attuned to truths others ignore. The world expects harmony. You do not. You expect clarity, and that is dangerous. You may ask yourself, why am I like this? Why can't I simply exist like everyone else? There is no simple answer. There is only the observation, the recognition that you are different, that your perception, your awareness, your very consciousness does not align with the motions of those around you. You live in a constant tension between what is expected and what is real, between the comfort of surrender and the perilous clarity of seeing. You are pulled in both directions at once, compelled to obey yet incapable of compliance. It is exhausting. It is isolating. It is necessary. Perhaps this tension feels like punishment. Perhaps it feels like a curse. But consider, every discomfort, every misalignment, every shadow of doubt and dread is a mirror. It reflects what is hidden. It reflects what the world refuses to show you. And it reflects yourself. You are learning, even if unconsciously, that the world is indifferent, that people move through life without noticing, without understanding, without care. And you cannot move through life like that. You cannot unsee, unfeel, or unhear. So the tension remains. It hums beneath your thoughts. It whispers in your emotions. It settles into the spaces between decisions and gestures, and you live with it, quietly, unrelentingly. It is not a flaw, it is a condition, a mark of consciousness that refuses to sleep, a dangerous awareness that separates you from the world, and yet, paradoxically, keeps you alive within yourself. You are aware, and awareness is never peaceful. Let that linger. The conflict within you is not a problem to solve. It is a reality to witness. It is a presence you cannot ignore. It is a shadow stretching through your mind, dark and patient, reminding you that you are misaligned, and perhaps that misalignment is exactly what it means to be awake. There are moments when you feel the weight of it all pressing in, not externally, not from people or events, but from yourself, from the accumulated tension, the endless awareness, the relentless clarity that you cannot escape. It does not announce itself. It creeps in like fog through a broken window, seeping into your chest, your spine, your mind, and suddenly you are heavy. Not in a way that others would see, not in a way that could be measured, but heavy in a way that touches the soul. You may sit quietly, pretending that nothing is wrong, pretending that the world does not feel sharp, cold, and alien, pretending that your own heart is not fraying at the edges, and yet the pretension is futile. The weight accumulates, it presses on the ribs, whispers in the mind, echoes in the empty spaces of your skull. There is nowhere to hide from it, nowhere to run. The collapse is quiet, invisible, unremarked by anyone but you. Tears may come, or perhaps they do not. Perhaps the body holds them, clenches them tightly, afraid to release the depth of feeling. For these emotions are dangerous. They are not comfort. They are power. And power, unrestrained, can consume you. You may feel your chest tighten, your stomach twist. You may notice the subtle trembling of your hands, the quiet shiver that runs up your spine. The breakdown is not dramatic. There is no explosion. It is silent, creeping, patient, like a slow erosion of certainty, hope, and comfort. You may ask yourself, am I alone in this? Is everyone else untouched by this weight? Yes and no. Yes, you are alone in the intensity of your perception. Most people move through life without noticing the subtle fractures. They do not feel the currents pulling beneath the surface. They do not see the hollowness in smiles or the fragility behind laughter. And no, you are not alone in existing as a being that feels too much, sees too much, knows too much. There are others somewhere who carry similar shadows, but they are distant, invisible. And for now, you face this alone. This is not a failure, it is a consequence. The consequence of being awake when others are asleep. The consequence of feeling truths that others cannot bear to notice. The consequence of having a mind that maps the world in a language it was never taught to speak. You may think the breakdown diminishes you. You may fear it is a sign of weakness. But that is an illusion. The breakdown is recognition. It is the mind and heart acknowledging what has been carried too long, what has been observed too closely, what cannot be denied. It is a moment of honesty, and honesty is dangerous. There is beauty here, though it is quiet, almost imperceptible. The beauty is not comfort, the beauty is in clarity, in the recognition of the truth you have tried to avoid, that the world is not designed for you, that you are not meant to move in its rhythms, that your awareness is both a burden and a power. And so you sit, you breathe, you feel, you let it wash over you in silence. No one sees, no one intervenes. You exist in this space alone with your collapse, and that is sufficient. There is a rhythm to it. A slow, dark cadence that carries a strange sense of release. Not freedom, not relief, but acknowledgement. That you are human, painfully human, and that your emotions are not distractions. They are signals, markers of your existence in a world that does not belong to you. You will rise again. Perhaps not today, perhaps not soon. But for this moment, allow yourself the quiet terror, the aching awareness, the raw weight. It is yours. It is real. And it is the beginning of knowing the depth of your own being. This is not a breakdown to fix. It is a confrontation to witness, a silent descent into the depths of your mind, where the shadows wait, patient and undisturbed. And in that darkness you begin to see yourself. There is a part of you that you rarely visit, a part that hides in the quiet corners of your mind, a part that observes when you are asleep, when you are distracted, when the world demands you perform. This is your shadow. It is not evil. It is not dark in the sense the world would call darkness. It is simply you. The parts of yourself that you have buried, denied, or forgotten. The impulses, the desires, the fears, the rage, the sorrow that society taught you to reject. And now, it waits, patient, silent, unjudging. You may sense it before you see it. A flicker of thought that shocks you. A memory that surfaces unbidden. A feeling so raw and unrefined it almost frightens you. That is the shadow speaking. That is your truth speaking in a language. Age you were taught to ignore. Most people spend their lives pretending the shadow does not exist. They hide it beneath smiles, routines, and distractions. But you are awake. You have no choice but to see it, to feel it, to acknowledge the parts of yourself that terrify you and the parts you fear you cannot control. The shadow is dangerous. It is unbound. It does not negotiate. It does not comfort. And yet, it is honest. It reveals what the world will never show you. You may look at yourself and see anger, jealousy, envy, or desire that feels unbearable. You may feel shame for thinking thoughts that seem too dark, too selfish, too untamed. You are not broken for feeling these things. You are awake. The shadow is your mirror. It reflects not who you wish to be, but who you are beneath the masks, the performances, the compromises. And in this reflection, you see a world that does not belong to you, and perhaps a self that is more real than you have allowed. It is frightening to confront this. It is frightening to admit that you contain these elements, that you are capable of cruelty, of rage, of utter loneliness. It is frightening because the world does not understand such honesty and it will punish it. And yet, The shadow is not punishment. It is recognition. In confronting it, you learn that the parts of you fear the most are also the parts that are strongest. They are raw energy, untamed power, and they have been waiting for acknowledgement, waiting for integration, waiting for the moment when you no longer hide. Do not seek to destroy the shadow. Do not try to banish it. That is a myth sold by a world afraid of depth. You cannot erase it, and even if you could, you would lose yourself in the process. Instead, see it, observe it, sit with it, let it speak quietly without judgment. Let it teach you what the world cannot. Let it show you the boundaries, the edges, the dangerous spaces you inhabit within yourself. The shadow is not evil. It is honest. It is raw. It is yours. It is the part of you that the world rejects, and therefore perhaps the part that is most true. And in that truth, you begin to feel a strange clarity, a clarity that is not comforting, a clarity that is cold, unsettling, and precise, a clarity that tells you you are not meant for this world. And yet, that is not despair, that is awakening. It is recognition of your own depth, of your own danger, of your own untamed existence. It is the beginning of knowing yourself fully, and that knowledge, once glimpsed, cannot be undone. You carry it now, quietly, patiently, like a weight that cuts but also steadies, like a fire that burns without consuming. The shadow is not an enemy. It is a companion, a mirror, a teacher, and it has been waiting for you all along. So, you see yourself fully in the darkness, and you understand there is no turning back. There is no undoing the truth. There is only acknowledgement, and in that acknowledgement, something begins to stir, something quiet, something dangerous, something powerful. There comes a moment when you stop reaching for the world. Not abruptly, not violently, but gradually, almost imperceptibly. You feel the pull of expectation, of need, of others' desires, and you step back. You do not reject them with anger. You do not announce your absence. You simply observe. You notice the world in its motions, the words, the gestures, the smiles that are never complete, the promises that never hold, the truths that are always partial, always filtered, always veiled. And you do not flinch. You do not seek to intervene. You do not demand that it bend to your perception. You have learned that attachment is fragile, that seeking validation is dangerous, that opening yourself fully to the world invites pain, confusion, and loss. And so, you withdraw, quietly, patiently. It is not coldness, not in the sense of cruelty or indifference. It is precision. It is clarity. It is the act of recognizing what can be endured and what cannot, of recognizing that the world is not a place built for your depth, your honesty, your awareness. You feel your emotions settle into their own rhythm. They no longer surge outward at the world. They no longer seek reaction, acknowledgement, or approval. They move within you, like water flowing in a subterranean river, hidden, unseen, but alive and sharp, dangerous. This detachment is not numbness. It is a honing, a refinement. You are not less alive. You are more awake. You notice everything more clearly, not through longing, not through expectation, but through observation, through patience, through a quiet, unyielding presence. You may notice the discomfort this brings. The people around you may feel it. They may sense the space you no longer fill with yourself. They may push, demand, or reach, and you will not respond as before. You will respond with distance, not hostility, with observation, not engagement. This is not punishment, it is self-preservation. It is recognition that to give yourself fully to a world that cannot receive you is to fracture your own being. And you have learned slowly, through weight, through awareness, through the shadow, that your self-preservation is sacred. Dangerous, perhaps, but sacred. You may feel guilt, you may feel shame. Let it linger. Let yourself notice it. And then, let it pass. These are the echoes of expectation, not of your own truth. You are not responsible for the world's comprehension of you. You are responsible only for yourself. Detachment does not mean isolation. Not entirely. It is not a wall built from fear. It is a boundary built from clarity, a space in which you can exist without being consumed, where your awareness can remain intact, where your emotions can remain dangerous, alive, and untainted by the demands of others. And in this space, something shifts, quietly, almost imperceptibly. The tension that has haunted you begins to loosen, not because the world has changed, but because you have stopped bending, because you have stopped seeking, because you have stopped hoping for comprehension that will never come. You begin to notice your own power returning, not the loud, triumphant kind, not the kind that demands attention, but the subtle, unshakable power of knowing yourself, the quiet authority of someone who no longer needs the world's approval. This is the phase where clarity and danger coexist, where awareness and separation mingle, where emotions once threatening to overwhelm are contained and refined. You are no longer at the mercy of others. You are no longer lost in expectation. You are present with yourself, and that is an unsettling calm. A cold, quiet center in which the storm of the world can rage without touching you. You have begun to see detachment is not absence. Detachment is survival. Detachment is power. And in its silence, in its precision, you begin to return to yourself, fully, dangerously awake. There comes a moment, a stillness within you, sharp and precise, like frost over a dark lake. It is not warmth. It is not comfort. It is clarity, a quiet awareness that you have endured, that you have observed, that you have survived the weight of your own perception. And in that survival, something shifts. The storm within you does not vanish, it does not surrender, but it changes form. The tension, the friction, the silent breakdowns, a Tao. They no longer control you. They become part of your structure, part of the architecture of your mind, the raw materials of your inner power. You notice it first in small ways, in the steadiness of your gaze, in the absence of agitation where there once was reaction, in the ability to sit with the world, observing, measuring, noting, without being consumed by it. This is the awakening of the self, not a loud or triumphant emergence, not a blaze or eruption, but a cold, patient and terrifying recognition. You are enough, not for others, not in ways the world will comprehend, but for yourself. Your emotions, once overwhelming, now pulse beneath the surface like a contained fire. They are not weaker. They are sharper, more precise. You have learned to let them exist without allowing them to dictate action. They are dangerous, and in their danger, they are yours. You may notice the world around you has not changed. It continues its clumsy, noisy patterns. The expectations, the pretense, the shallow rituals, they continue. But you no longer move within them. You no longer bend. You no longer seek approval. You watch, you feel, you exist, and that alone is enough to unsettle the world. This awakening is cold because it does not ask for warmth. It does not require gratitude. It does not need recognition. It is self-contained. It is self-sufficient. It is the realization that the power you sought outside yourself has always been inside, waiting, patient, silent. And you feel it, the subtle hum of authority, of presence. It is not loud. It does not demand attention, but it is undeniable. It is the weight of someone who has faced the shadow, endured the breakdown, detached from illusion, and emerged intact. You may feel fear. You may feel the edge of discomfort. That is natural. The world is designed to resist such awareness. People will continue to move as if nothing has changed, and they will not notice the transformation within you. That is irrelevant. What matters is this: you have returned to yourself, fully, dangerously awake. This is not a return to innocence. It is not a return to ignorance. It is a return to clarity, a recognition that your power is quiet but real, that your emotions, though contained, are sharp and unyielding, that your awareness, though unsettling, is precise, that you exist with intention even when the world does not see. You may ask yourself, what now? The answer is, nothing. Nothing has to change. Nothing has to move. Nothing has to conform. This is not a call to action. It is a recognition of being. The world may continue as it has, but you no longer need to be swallowed by it. You have learned the rhythm of your own presence. You have learned the measure of your own power. You have returned to yourself. And in this return, there is a strange, cold satisfaction. Not comfort, not warmth, not joy, but a dangerous balance, a dangerous authority, a quiet power that knows its own depth. Its own limits, its own edges. This is your awakening. Cold, still, unsettling, but real, and once felt, it cannot be taken away. You have survived the world. You have survived yourself, and in that survival, you are no longer lost. The world continues unaware. People move through streets, through offices, through rooms filled with light and noise. They smile, they argue, they live their lives in tidy patterns. And you move differently, quietly, patiently, observing, feeling, existing in a rhythm they cannot perceive. You have learned something dangerous, something the world cannot grant, something the world fears. You have learned that belonging is optional, that expectation is a cage, that comfort is a veil over truth, and you have seen the shadow, endured the breakdown, detached from illusion, and returned to yourself. You are not meant for this world, and yet, paradoxically, you are fully present in it. There is a weight to this realization. It is not comforting, it is not liberating in any conventional sense. It is precise, cold, unyielding. It settles into your bones, into your chest, into the spaces between your thoughts. You feel it in every pulse, every breath, every quiet moment of observation. And you may feel the isolation of it. You may feel the distance. You may wonder if anyone else could ever understand this dangerous clarity, this quiet power, this unshakable presence of being fully awake in a world that is asleep. It is not despair. It is recognition. Recognition that the world will continue to move in its patterns, indifferent to your truth. Recognition that others cannot perceive the depths you inhabit. Recognition that your existence, unmoored from expectation and performance, is both fragile and terrifyingly strong. You may feel the edge of fear, and that is natural. Awareness carries its own cost. To know the world, to know yourself, to see the shadows beneath everything. It is not safe. It is not gentle. It is not meant for comfort. And yet, it is real. There is no resolution here. No tidy ending. No promise of acceptance or understanding. There is only observation. Only awareness. Only the cold, quiet presence of someone who has witnessed their own depth and survived. Someone who knows the weight of emotion, the danger of clarity, the perilous power of seeing. You carry it now, quietly, patiently, unflinchingly. It moves with you, a shadow companion, a constant reminder that your awareness is yours alone, that your truth cannot be borrowed, negotiated, or shared, and that is enough. You may ask, is this loneliness? Is this suffering? Perhaps, perhaps not. The distinction is irrelevant. What matters is the knowing. What matters is the presence of consciousness, alive and aware, in a world that cannot comprehend it. What matters is the quiet courage of simply existing, fully, without apology, without seeking approval, without surrendering to the illusions that bind others. And so, you walk, quietly, slowly, through rooms filled with light, through streets filled with noise, through a world moving on, unaware. You carry your awareness like a fragile, dangerous flame, one that could consume you if mishandled, but also illuminate everything that others will never see. You are not meant for this world. And that is not a tragedy. It is a revelation. a recognition of your depth, your danger, your singularity. A reminder that survival is not about fitting in, but about seeing clearly. And in that clarity, there is a strange calm, unsettling, precise, and unyielding. It does not comfort, it does not soothe, it does not inspire, but it exists. It is yours, it is real, and it cannot be taken from you. You have walked through the shadow, you have endured the breakdown, you have detached from the world, you have returned to yourself, and now you simply exist. Let that linger, let it settle, let it unsettle, because the world will never understand. And perhaps that is exactly how it should be.